Day 6. Coming to, there's light flooding the bathroom, and I'm lying on the tile shivering. I stand, and then my stomach seizes, and I vomit into the toilet. I do it again. I choke, and my throat burns, and the tears and snot are wrenched out of my body. There's no noise outside the bathroom, so after drinking some water from the tap, I turn the lock and sort of crawl my way out into Lauren's room. No one's there. The lights are all out, and the sun's coming in. I put on my clothes and try to sneak out the same way I came in. I reach my hand in my pocket, and there's a note there. The writing is scrawled, hurriedly, frantic little marks on yellow-lined paper. Nick, if you're fucking dead in there, I'm gonna kill you. Call me immediately when you wake up. My parents are leaving tomorrow around 1, so you can move your stuff in after that. Fuck. I hope you're not dead. Call me. Lauren. I wait till I'm well away from that house before dialing her number. Her voice is soft, like she's not supposed to be using her phone or something. The sky is blue, but that San Francisco wind whips the hair around in front of my eyes. Nick? Yeah? Jesus, what the hell happened to you last night? Nothing. You know, when I heard your dad knocking, I hid in the bathroom. I guess I shot too much dope or something, because I passed out. Didn't you guys hear me when I fell? What are you talking about? When your dad came downstairs. Nick, that never happened. But I heard it. I heard you talking to him. No, you didn't. Fuck. Nick, you can't do that again, okay? Yeah, I'm sorry. Will you come over tonight? Sure. Do you have any more of that? Yeah. All right. Call me later. I hang up. It's around 5:30 when Gak calls me. I spent most of the day just walking around the avenues looking for ground scores, money, cigarettes, or whatever else might have been left on the ground. Once I found a black leather kit full of haircutting equipment that had 5 checks and almost $200 cash in it. I found packs of cigarettes, bags of leftovers, even the occasional sack of weed or coke or something. Today, however, I find nothing but an Iowa stereo system that I don't need. Actually, I see a plastic bag tied at the top in front of someone's doorway. I'm hungry, and it looks like takeout, maybe. I walk quickly past, circle back, then grab the bag and run off. When I round the corner, I open it, hoping for some Chinese food or Thai noodles or anything, really. The bag is full of dog shit. Lots of dog shit. I drop the sack and my stomach convulses from the smell. But like I said, Gak calls at 5:30 and tells me he thinks he's found a hookup for us. He says he can't go into details on the phone, but we agree to meet in the TL around 8. He says to bring $300. $300? I say, that's all? For now, yeah. I withdraw the money from my account. I've still got more than $2,000, but just barely. My feet hurt from walking all day, and I look down at the soles of my Jack Purcell sneakers. The left one has a hole starting to eat its way through the bottom. Still, I keep walking, and I know that as soon as I do another shot, I won't feel the pain anymore. It's the same with my throat. As I start to come down a little bit, I can feel that I'm sick. My throat is sore, and my nose is filled with snot. I must have gotten a cold somewhere. But Crystal will take it all away. The dark is settling in. The sky glows yellow, pale, anemic from the city lights. The Tenderloin at night is a real horror show. Every 3 feet, someone is accosting you with a plea for a handout, or the offer of drugs or sex. The men and women wander the streets and alleys with a threatening, violent want. Takers looking to take, hustlers looking to hustle, all trying to satisfy a craving that is perpetually unsatisfiable. And tonight, I'm one of them. Gak is smoking a cigarette in front of a Carl's Jr. He's listening to music through some headphones. He's wearing the same clothes he always wears. What's up, man? He says, doing some slap-snap handshake thing with me. His eyes are all over the place. You tell me. He starts walking fast, and I follow. All right, so there's this guy, Joe, right? Joe just got out of jail, and he's moving away to some South Georgia or some shit. Joe knows everybody, and he says he's going to hook us up with his connection so we can start dealing directly from them. He's like, passing on the torch, right? Cool. So we'll just try these hookups out. We'll get $300 worth of really good shit. We'll cut it and sell it. Set aside maybe half for personal use. And you trust this guy? Hell yeah. I've known him for fucking ever. All right, man. So I'm going to leave it up to you then. Word. I haven't really been paying attention, but somehow we've ended up down this alley with nothing but one flickering light overhead. We stop at a rusted iron gate in front of an apartment complex. Gak pushes a button, says, "Yo, it's Gak," and we're buzzed in. The hallway is cramped and smells of urine and mold. The carpet is bare, stained, burned. The walls are all uneven, giving the place the feeling of a rocking ship. I steady myself against the dirty brown banister. A door opens maybe 10 yards away. A long-haired man who looks Persian or something, with black, thick eyebrows, steps out into the hall. "He's in here," he says. We follow him inside a room the size of a small kitchen. There's a bed, a porno movie playing on the TV, and nothing else. A fat man, probably 55 with a receding hairline, smokes speed from a long glass pipe. He exhales loudly and looks up at us. He shifts back to the far corner of the bed, settling in against the back wall. "Gak, it's been a long time." "Yeah, welcome back. This is Nick." Joe reaches out and shakes my hand. His eyes are gray and glazed over. He has a scruffy beard, covering his fleshy cheeks. His lips are wet and thick. He passes me the pipe, and I take a hit without wiping it off or anything, even though I want to. "So, Nick," he says, his voice trembling from the narcotics, "you want to get into dealing this nasty shit, eh?" I nod, sitting down on the floor next to the Persian man. Gak leans back on the bed with Joe. "Gak and I are going to work together," I say. "All right, man, but I'd be careful. Anyway, let's get this started. You got a phone I could borrow?" I hand him my cell phone, and he makes a few calls. I half listen to his conversation while Gak and I pass the pipe back and forth. The Persian man still says nothing. He doesn't hit the pipe when I offer it to him. "So, someone will be by within the half hour," says Joe. "These are definitely some folks you want to be down with. Gak, pay attention, man." Gak is messing around with a portable CD player, taking it apart with some multi-tool keychain thing. He looks up briefly. "Let me lay this shit down for y'all. If I'm going to give you kids my connects, you got to understand a few things first. Gak, you've always been real straight ahead. Nick, well, if Gak vouches for you, then you're all right with me." He rambles on for maybe 20 minutes, talking about how you have to never let the other guy get up on you. The bottom line is it's all about money. Never trust anyone. Never do anything out of goodwill. It's all business. Never get sentimental. Never let anyone in. Start off selling small sacks, and as they get more dependent, keep making the sacks smaller. Always keep a weapon on you. The best is something discreet like a skateboard or a pair of drumsticks. Gak argues with him a little, stating that he's always found that being honest gets you further in the long run. Joe dismisses this entirely. He expounds on the virtues of cold-hearted bloodthirstiness. I listen and just try to make him like me by nodding every once in a while as though I really get it. The doorbell sounds, and we buzz two large men into the building. One's white, the other looks Latino. The room is so full of bodies now, I'm sweating. The introductions are brief. Joe presents Gak as his successor. They shake hands, pass over a phone number, and that's it. I give them $300 for a rock of crystal about the size of a golf ball. It looks very pure. They leave, and then it's just me and Joe and Gak and the Persian guy, who still hasn't said more than 3.5 goddamn words. I hand the sack to Gak, along with 2 clean rigs, asking him to make us shots to try it out. As Gak is preparing it, Joe starts asking me questions. I tell him my story, maybe being a little too open, saying I got all this money I'm looking to invest. He stares so directly into my eyes while I'm talking, I have to keep looking at the floor. He waits till Gak shoots me up before he says it. I cough so hard as the shit hits me, my ears just won't stop ringing. I think maybe I'll puke or something, it's so strong, but I revel in the intensity. My whole body is paralyzed for a moment. I breathe out for a long time, light a cigarette, laugh. Gak's reaction is pretty much like mine. Shit's very pure, like I thought.
You like that, huh?
Asks Joe. I nod.
You know, I can get you some glass that's a whole lot better.
Really?
Hell yeah, I could do it tonight. How much money can you get?
I don't know, 200's my limit, I think.
Well, that'll be enough to start.
Okay. I look over at Gak, try to read his expression, but he's not paying attention. He's back with the damn CD player. The Persian man is leaning against the wall asleep. Some guy is fucking some girl from behind on the small, grainy TV screen.
Let me use your phone again.
I hand it over and Joe gets up off the bed. He's even fatter than he seemed sitting down. His stomach hangs way over his belt. He stomps out of the room, down the hall, and I wait. Gak says nothing. I take a notebook out of my bag and start to draw. Faces coming out of faces with so many scratchy lines. Joe steps back through the door.
All set. Let's go to an ATM.
Cool.
There's one down the street.
We walk. Standing and moving after all the meth I've shot and smoked kicks everything screaming into hyperreality. As my blood starts to circulate more quickly, the drug crawls down the different pathways of my body. My nerves are shot. I can feel my toes moving compulsively in my shoes. The Tres Amigos liquor store has an ATM in the back next to the 99-cent bags of chips. As I take my card out, Joe leans over and looks at it closely.
Bank of America, huh? I used to work for them back in the day. They still use the same number sequence? Yep. I got away with numbers.
Not me, I say. I'm horrible at that stuff. I insert the card and type my code in. Joe is standing almost on top of me, and I can smell the sweat clinging to his black hooded sweatshirt. $200 comes out. We make our way back to the apartment, and Joe is talking a lot. He's going on about the new life he's going to have in Georgia, or someplace like that. He's going to leave all this behind him. Thugging, meth, make a clean break, a fresh start. I'm encouraging. I nod a lot. He puts a hand on my shoulder.
You know, kid, he says, you're all right. You're going to do fine. Just remember, in this game, you can't trust anyone. You understand me?
Yeah, I say.
Especially in the fucking TL.
We go inside, and Joe asks to borrow my phone again. I pass it over.
This next connect is completely off the hook. He says, you aren't going to believe how good his shit is.
He tells me to get the money ready.
Put it on the dresser here.
I do. Gak looks up suddenly. The Persian guy is still asleep. Joe, what the hell is going on?
Nothing, G. I'm just setting your boy up with some more crystal.
From who?
Dude, chill. Hold on a minute. I gotta make one more call.
He walks out of the room. Something's weird, says Gak. How much money you get? 200. Where is it? There on the dresser. Where? I look over. Of course it's gone. Fuck! Wait here! Yells Gak. He runs off. I'm just left staring. A sickness burrows into my insides. I wonder if I'll ever see Gak again, if it was all a setup. My phone is gone. All that money. I'm not sure what to do. I start cooking up a huge chunk of black tar heroin. The Persian man jerks awake suddenly. What's going on? That guy Joe. Yeah? You know him well? Sort of. He just ripped me off. Oh. Gak went to go find him. Maybe. I don't know. You mind if I shoot some heroin here? No. Whatever you need. That sucks, man. How much you get? I tell him. Fuck. I'm Ali, by the way. Nick. He lies back as though trying to sleep against the wall again. I pump all the heroin into my vein. It maybe takes the edge off waiting. I focus on the ceiling, fading in and out. 30 minutes go by. All right, I say. Ali, man, I'm leaving. This is bullshit. Yeah, he says, opening his eyes out of a half-sleep. You gotta be more careful, man. I pack my bag up, sling it over my shoulder, and start out of there. Ali shakes my hand. I feel heat in my eyes, a stinging like maybe I'll cry. The hallway swells and shifts around me. The ripped-out feeling of my insides is overwhelming. But then, Gak is calling out to me, just outside the gated stairway. Gak, man? Fuck! Nick, I am so sorry. You weren't in on that? No way, man, I fucking swear. Look, here's the deal. Joe took off. I just went home and my dad thinks he's been there. He stole our computer. My dad is freaking out. He's skipped out now, man. No one knows where he is. When did he take the computer? Just now, man. He had a key to our room. Gak, this is so not cool. I know, man. But look, I was talking to my dad. We're gonna figure this out. He gave me his phone. Already we got someone waiting to buy a sack. We've gotta break that rock up and slang that shit. We'll make your money back quick. And whatever extra we make, we're gonna give to my dad. Cool? I don't know, man. Maybe I should just cut my losses. No way! This is gonna work out! I light a cigarette, and I don't offer one to Gak. We're still leaning against the white, peeling walls of Ali's building. Gak, man, honestly, I'm not sure I can trust you anymore. He's quiet a minute. Yeah, I understand. I do. But you gotta believe me, that had nothing to do with me. I've known Joe since I was a kid. I'm telling you, man, he had a key to our place. We all trusted him, and he fucked over a lot of people tonight. Everyone's looking for him. He's got nowhere to run. I'll bet we find him before morning, no joke. And you had no idea he was gonna rip me off? He's quiet again. Look, at a certain point I sensed something. He jams his hands in his pockets. But what was I supposed to say? You just kept going along with everything. You're so open and nice. People are gonna tear you apart. They can sense it here, man. They feed on it. You got a lot to learn if this is gonna work out. Now it's my turn to be quiet a while. You're right, I say. Yeah, man, you gotta stay humble and you gotta watch me, man. You gotta pay attention. Watch what I do, how I act. I keep my mouth shut, man, and I never reveal more than I have to. Like if I have a pack of cigarettes, I never pull out the whole pack. I take out one cigarette and I keep it real discreet. If someone asks, I say I bummed it, even if I don't mind giving them one. You never want to let on that you have more than anyone else. You got it? I nod. Gak actually puts his hand on my shoulder. Come on, man. Let's move. We do. The first stop we make is at some cheap apartment complex south of Market. The street lights are burned out and we turn down a back alley into almost total darkness. There's a hooded figure leaning against the side of a corrugated metal garage door. The deep charcoal orange glow of a cigarette, smoked down to the butt, illuminates his scarred face. Excuse me, could you guys spare any change? He asks as we walk past. Bullet, says Gak. Fuck, Gak, Nick, what's up? Dude. Bullet gets up off the ground and chucks the smoking filter out into the narrow street. He smells bad, like he hasn't changed his clothes in a week. His eyes are lined and creased, heavy gray. We ask him what he's doing out here, and he admits he was just trying to find a place to sleep. I'm so tired, man. You guys have any ups for me? I want to say yes and give him speed and everything he wants, but I just shake my head. We gotta sell what we got. Gak tells him the story of Joe ripping us off. Bullet doesn't seem that surprised, really. Well, you think I could sleep in your car? He asks me. I swear I won't fuck with anything. I'll lock myself in, man. I agree, but I won't give him my keys. Instead, I walk back where I parked and let him in. He lies down in the back and grabs one of my sweaters and is immediately asleep. The smell of him fills my car. It's pretty weird us running into him, I say to Gak, walking back toward the apartment. It's not weird, he says. That's how it all works. Or haven't you figured that out yet? I think maybe he's right. Gak calls up on his dad's phone, and a couple minutes later a man comes down and opens the door. We've already broken off what's supposed to be a gram, but it's obviously way smaller, and put it in the plastic wrapper from my pack of cigarettes. The guy is supposed to give us $80 for it. He looks like he hasn't been outside in years. He has doughy, pale skin and bones protruding from his face. His dark hair is falling out, and he has a red, alcoholic nose. His stomach is horribly swollen, and he looks almost pregnant. His voice comes out curt and demanding, high-pitched, whiny. We all introduce each other, but I don't remember his name. He leads us through the shabby lobby, walls covered with rusted-out mailboxes, into a loud, clunking, dented elevator. The doors open and we step inside. The space is cramped, and I can smell something like baby powder on the man's pasty skin. He runs a meaty hand through his stringy hair, then reaches out and stops the elevator somewhere between the second and third floor. A light hums sickeningly overhead. Sweat collects on his forehead and runs down along his ears. My breath catches, waiting for something. What's up, man? Asks Gak. Let's see it, the man says. Gak pulls out the sack, holding it tightly in his hand. Looks small, says the man. Whatever, this is fat. The man stares at Gak. Gak looks right into the man's milky green eyes. The man looks away. He hands Gak a wad of cash. Take it, Nick. I do, stuffing it in my pocket. Gak passes the sack over and the man turns the elevator back on. It lurches up, bucks, and we struggle our way to the fourth floor. Good night, boys, the man says. He walks out into the hallway and we take the elevator down. We're almost out the front door when I finally take the money out and count it. Gak, man, he's 20 short. What? I show him the three $20 bills. Fuck. What do we do? Just, hold on a second. He dials the guy's number. There's no answer. I squat down and rock on the balls of my feet, holding my knees to my chest. Go get Bullet, he says. Give him a shot, okay? I'll wait here and try to get my dad on the phone. I walk out into the night, hiking up the collar of my jacket against the damp that's settled over everything. The blood in my ears is loud, 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 and my hands shake. I think about Bullet's big Bowie knife and the fat man, smelling of fine powder. I tap on the window and Bullet starts up. What's going on? Hey, unlock the door. I slide into the front seat and immediately start making up 2 shots. I put some more heroin in both our rigs, explaining the situation to Bullet. He hoots loudly. All right, man, bring it on. We're gonna fuck that guy up. I swallow something down in my throat. You packing anything? He asks me. I laugh. Bullet, come on, man. I've never even hit anyone before. He can't figure that one out. We shoot up and light cigarettes and get ready. He hands me a screwdriver from his back pocket. Hold this, he says. But if you have to swing it, use the handle side first, got it? We don't want to actually kill this guy. I don't think all the heroin in the world could make my stomach stop cramping up on me, but I do manage to lead Bullet back to the man's apartment complex. Gak is still talking on the phone to his dad, but he hangs up when we knock on the door and lets us in. The 3 of us pace the lobby talking. Bullet's voice has dropped like 3 octaves since doing that H. So my dad says it was probably a mistake. Does your dad know which apartment is his? I ask. Gak shakes his head. Bullet thinks for sure the guy was trying to rip us off. He goes on about all the shit he's going to do to him. Gak and I both pretty much ignore this for now. We decide to go up to the 4th floor and check it out. Maybe we'll hear something. Meanwhile, Gak keeps dialing the man's number. There's never any answer. The elevator carries us along slowly. We step out onto the dark, splattered carpet and speak quietly to one another. There are potted plants lining the hallway. The numbers are nailed unevenly into the flimsy apartment doors. 401, 402, 403. We listen at each one. None of us are really breathing at all. Everything is quiet. I'm the one who hears the pounding first. It's faint and rhythmic, coming from the last apartment next to the window and fire escape. Over there. A moan escapes the keyhole. Bullet pulls out the knife. We all just listen. Another moan, and then the fat man's voice comes through saying something like, "Hold still! Hold still!" He's repeating it over and over. Gak nods and Bullet pounds on the door with his fist. The whole world is turned silent a moment. I back up and Gak puts a hand on my shoulder. He whispers in my ear, "It's all right." The fat man's voice is right at the door. "What is it?" "Yo, it's Gak, Mike's son. What do you want?" The door opens ever so slightly, and all at once Bullet kicks the thing as hard as he can. The fat man falls back on the floor. He's wearing white underwear and nothing else. His skin hangs down all over the place. When he falls, his head whips back, smashing against the hard, polished wood floor. He says, "Jesus Christ! Jesus Christ! Jesus Christ!" He keeps on saying it. We all step in, and I close the door behind us. I look away from the man crumpled on the floor. "You shorted us 20, says Gak. "It's 80 for a gram last time I checked." "I gave you 80, I swear." "Nick." I take out the 3 $20 bills. Bullet grabs them from me, balling them up, throwing them at the man. "Count it." The man writhes around like a giant slug. "I'm sorry, I swear it was an accident. I'll get the money." "Damn right," says Bullet. Then suddenly, we hear something coming from the back room. It's like a grunting sound. "What the fuck is that?" Bullet has the knife, all poised and everything, and before I know what I'm doing, I have the screwdriver out, and I'm clutching it tightly. We walk through the apartment, toward the back bedroom. Bullet pushes open the door just as the man on the floor yells, "Don't!" Inside, there is a very hairy man, tied so that he is stretched naked and face down across the width of the bed. He is blindfolded and gagged. He seems to be choking a little or something, because he makes this weird noise in his throat. Bullet says, "Oh, fuck," and then laughs and laughs. "You have no right to treat people this way," the fat man says, walking with his head down into the small, immaculate kitchen. His pants are slung over a high-backed chair. He reaches his hand into the front pocket, pulling out a crumpled 20 and throwing it on the floor with the others. Gak gathers it up. He kind of nods at us, and we all get the hell out of there. I hear the man cursing behind us, and I feel like I need to wash my hands. Gak calls his dad from the cell phone once we're outside. Our next hookup is just 3 blocks away. His dad tells him that as far as everyone can figure, Joe is going to be leaving on a Greyhound from the bus station sometime in the morning. We decide to stake the place out after we make some more deliveries. Actually, it's Bullet who seems the most enthusiastic about the whole idea. His loyalty is sweet, in a very not sweet sort of way. Anyway, he is going on and on about the best plan of attack or whatever when I start thinking about my ATM card. The fog is so thick we can't even see the streetlights overhead, except for a dull, obscured glow. For some reason I can't get this image of Joe standing over me at the liquor store out of my head. He was staring at me. Watching for what? My ATM code, of course. "Oh shit," I say. "Yo, Gak, let me see that phone." I pull out my card and dial the number on the back of it, hoping that I'm not too late. After what seems like forever, I get some guy on the line. He sounds fairly apathetic to my frantic pleas to put a hold on my account. "Sir," he keeps saying, "even if your card was stolen, no one can access your account without your PIN number." "Yeah, but I think this guy saw me enter my code." "When was this?" "I don't know, a couple hours ago. Just, look, you gotta cancel that card, okay?" "Yes, of course, sir." I tear my card in half and throw it in a trash can. I think about retribution, maybe. I think about all the times I'd stolen my parents' credit cards. I think about the girl at my school whose Chevron card I used for about a month before they finally discovered it was missing. When I went to college in Massachusetts, I would wander the dorm halls looking for open doors, dashing in quickly and stealing whatever money or cigarettes I found lying around. There was a pool and a gym there where I'd go through the lockers every couple of days. I never got very much cash, but it was enough to keep a steady supply of heroin in my arm. I stole from girlfriends. I stole from my grandparents. I stole from aunts, uncles, friends. I stole and justified it, and stole more. I feel sick being on the other side of it. I feel unsafe, violated, out of control. It's like the time in Amsterdam when I got beat up by an African guy at 3 a.m. Even strung out and on the street, I had a feeling that I was protected somehow from the bad shit that went down, like it just couldn't happen to me. Walking through the twisted cobblestone streets of Holland, stoned out on ecstasy and mushrooms, I was so surprised that the guy actually hit me. And for what? He'd asked me a question, and I hadn't responded. That was it. It happened so fast, so abruptly. An innocence I'd clung to was lost in that instant. Tonight with Joe, I have the same feeling. It is a dirty world and a dirty life. Everyone's out to fuck you over. Any illusions I have are dashed quickly to pieces. I feel just, defeated. But Gak doesn't see it that way. "This is just what we need," he says. "Motivation." We walk quickly, making our deliveries. At a certain point, we find out about some really cheap crystal a guy's selling farther south of Market. It's not great, but we buy a whole bunch of it and start slanging that instead. Already we've made almost $200 back. It feels so effortless. Mostly, I just follow Gak. Don't say much, just watch. If dealing is this easy and profitable, I can't really see having any problems. There's no way I'm going to fall into the life I had before, eating out of trash cans, hustling money from guys at gay bars, hanging out on the corner of Castro and 18th, where guys circle the block in fancy sports cars. It hurt so bad the first few times. I thought maybe I'd throw up. Just praying for it to be over, for him to finish. They'd take me back to their apartments or houses up near Twin Peaks. And of course, there were the rough ones, the ones into violence, leather, different harnesses and things. You just try to shut it all out, getting as loaded as possible. But I'm determined not to do that again. There's a nausea that sweeps through me just thinking about it. Dealing has to work out for me. It has to. It took a miracle to get me out of that situation. I can't count on something like that happening again. See, after I ended up stealing that money from my little brother and I got kicked out of the house, I didn't know what to do. I went to my friend Akira's apartment near the Presidio. He agreed to let me stay with him for a while. I had a little bit of money left over, and I kept shooting meth and heroin, looking for work around the city. I finally got hired at a coffee shop near the Castro. I told the manager, a very clean-cut-looking, gym-toned gay guy in his late 30s, that I had been kicked out of my house by my tyrannical father after he discovered that I was sleeping with boys. The manager took pity on me and let me work for him, but it was only a couple shifts a week. My habit was growing, and I needed money bad. Akira lived in a basement apartment beneath his mom's place. His mom had always hated me. At the time, I didn't understand it. I thought she was just cruel and uptight. Now, of course, I can see that she was scared of me and worried about my influence on her son. Anyway, I snuck upstairs one day while she was at work and found a checkbook hidden in her bedside table. I wrote $100 out to myself and cashed it at one of those check-cashing places in the Fillmore. I immediately spent the money on drugs, but the check place had called Akira's mom, and she figured out that I had taken the money. Akira was upset and told me I had to leave. Our friendship was really never the same after that, and I felt just so terrible about what I'd done. I spent some time living in a youth hostel, and then when I couldn't afford that, I slept in a park. That was when I started turning tricks for the first time, really. I wasn't making a ton of money or anything, just enough to get high and to not starve. The few friends I still had, I never told what I was doing to get money. I ate maybe a candy bar a day, Snickers usually. I weighed very little. I walked all night long. I walked all day. I had nowhere to go. One day I saw that an old friend of our family's was having a retrospective of his work at the Castro movie theater. He's a director who was pretty famous and all. His son, JT, is an actor, and they were both scheduled to be at the opening reception. I dragged myself over there, my clothes torn and stinking. I tried to get inside, but the doorway was being guarded. Thankfully, though, JT noticed me and came outside. He put his arms around me. The bulk of his frame crushed me. He offered me a cigarette. "How did this happen to you?" JT asked, his voice so soft, gentle. He took off his glasses and rubbed his dark, narrow eyes. "What happened to you?" It was more of a plea than a question. "I remember when you were a little kid. You were like the golden child or something. You were so happy, so light. I'd play with you for hours and you'd never cry or anything. Do you remember that?" "Sort of." "Well, you were pretty young. But you were still, even then, so open and everything. And watching you grow up, I was always so proud of you. I looked up to you so much. All the music I listened to, all the books I read, they were all inspired by you. So what happened? Last time I saw you, it was like, 3 years ago? You were looking at colleges in Manhattan. You were all excited about going to school, writing." "Yeah, it's just crystal meth, man. I wish I'd never tried this shit, I swear." "You want to get off it?" "I don't know. I need to." "Well, look, I just broke up with my girlfriend, and I'm moving back home for a couple months. Why don't you stay with me at our apartment? We'll get you a doctor, get you some medicine. You can just detox there and figure out your life, man. We got a place in upstate New York you've never been to. We'll go up there, get you straightened out. We'll get my dad's masseuse working on you. We'll hook you up with an apartment, a good job. It'll be all good." I agreed to meet him at the Four Seasons Hotel the next day. I went to my dealer's place in Oakland. I spent most of my money on speed and pills. Then I went back to the park in Fort Mason. I stayed up for a long time just shooting drugs. I had gotten my backpack full of clothes out of the locker at the youth hostel. I actually had 2 backpacks, and then I had the brilliant idea of cutting the packs up and sewing them together to make one giant super backpack. By the time I finished cutting everything up, however, I got really tired and passed out. When I woke up, I had no super backpack and no regular backpack either. I put all my stuff in a laundry cart I'd stolen and pushed it from the park, down Columbus to the Four Seasons on Market. There were 2 large doormen with earpieces and walkie-talkies. They weren't about to let me pass. All rags, a laundry cart full of clothes, an electric guitar, and a head full of so much heroin and meth I could barely talk. When they asked me the names of the guests I was visiting, I just laughed. "Look, you're not going to believe me. Can you just call up and ask if anyone is expecting me? I was told my name would be left with the front desk or whatever it's called. I'm Nick Sheff." That didn't work. They wanted to know who I was there to see, so eventually I told them. Dropping my friends' names got me yelled at, that I better get the hell out of there. They said they'd call the cops. When I refused to leave and kept insisting that they call up to make sure, they finally agreed. After that, they apologized like 100 times and brought us champagne and a fruit basket. We flew out to New York on the red-eye that same night. I just remember talking to a flight attendant for most of the trip, sitting on the floor in the back where she was preparing the meals and things. I'd had to do the rest of the speed in the bathroom at the Four Seasons, about a gram at once, so I was pretty much in a blackout for the next week. I managed to stay off hard drugs for a couple months, but then I relapsed, and I was worse than ever. Gak and Bullet and I actually walk by that same Four Seasons on our way back to my car. After all our deliveries and everything, we've made about $300, plus we have a ton of the really good speed left. The morning fades in gray and cold. The streetlights extinguish one by one overhead. The wind picks up, leaving us all shivering slightly. Wet clings to the air, soaks through us, courses in our veins. We smoke cigarettes, but it doesn't warm us. I crank the heat up as we drive to the bus station. My jaw is so tight, and it makes these popping noises as I open and close it. Despite all the drugs and everything, I want to sleep. There's a pounding in my head, the blood draining out. I call Lauren from the payphone and tell her what is going on with me. She agrees to leave the side door unlocked so I can go crash there after we find Joe and get my shit back. She sounds kind of annoyed with me for not having come over, but I don't care. Isn't that the greatest gift in the world? Just not to care. I feel so grateful for it. That's nothing I ever knew sober. The bus station is surrounded by a virtual shantytown of tents and cardboard houses. A girl I went to rehab with had lived there before getting checked into treatment. She'd lived in a tent with 3 guys, one of whom was her fiancé. The cops would raid these homeless settlements every couple months. They'd make a bunch of arrests, then leave them alone to rebuild or whatever. The place seems pretty full right now. Young punk kids with ripped clothes and spiked hair looking angry and desperate, fighting over cigarettes and blankets and cans of beer. Gak and Bullet and I decide to split up so we can each cover a different entrance. There's actually 4 ways to get into the station, so Bullet says he'll keep circling the main lobby. Honestly, I'm not sure what I'll do if I see Joe. I can't really imagine confronting him and kicking his ass or anything. Still, I try and psych myself up, my heart pounding like crazy every time someone comes through the electric sliding doors. The station is almost empty. The sound of a few footsteps echoes in the tile corridors. A few of the torn-up black seats are occupied by sleeping men and women wearing layers of tattered rags. 2 police officers are there trying to rouse one guy who slid off onto the dirty linoleum floor. His skin is slick, like maybe it is covered in oil, and his long hair is matted together in one solid dreadlock. He has a long, long beard. The cops, male with crew cuts and square jaws, are bent over him, shaking his shoulders. Both wear latex gloves. I go take a piss, and when I get back, all three of them are gone. Joe hasn't shown up yet either. I huddle myself into a corner and wait. I blink a couple times. Pink and green geometric shapes form against the white walls. It's like a tower of flashing triangles is building itself up organically from the ground. I can't get rid of them. Not like it really bothers me that much. I'm used to hallucinations, a lot worse than this. The bus station hums and flickers with pulsing brightness. It's all I can do to keep focused on the doors. I stand up and walk on over to Gak. He's asleep at his post. I nudge him. Sorry, man. Nah, dude, let's go. You sure? I nod. He'll get his anyway, I say. This is bullshit. If he needs the money that bad, he can have it. I gotta go sleep. Yeah, Gak agrees. It'll end badly for Joe. Bullet is still pacing the place like some tightly caged animal. It takes a little coercing to get him to let up. We get back in my car and I decide to buy them all breakfast. You can get 4 home run pies for $1 at Call of Foods, says Bullet. Whatever you guys want. I drop them off in the TL and drive to Lauren's. We agree to meet up later. Bullet's got nowhere to stay, but neither Gak nor I offer any solutions. I want to help him, I do, but I can barely help myself. We leave him wandering and agree to meet up later. I smoke cigarettes in Lauren's white bed and wait to fall asleep. Day 9. Since Lauren's parents are gone, we've spent the last 3 days basically holed up in her house. Turns out her dad has a fantastic wine cellar that I've been sampling from. Plus, I'm a pretty good cook, so I've been raiding the pantry and things. I make coffee with a French press in the mornings, preparing pasta and salad and eggs, drinking Beaujolais, Bordeaux, Pinots, and Chiantis. I actually know something about food and wine. It was the summer before my senior year in high school that I went off to this study abroad program in Paris when I was 16. It was just for the summer, and the thing was pretty structured and everything. You stayed in a hotel with all these other high school students, went to French classes during the day, then were supposed to eat together and go on these excursions at night. They'd go to the top of the Eiffel Tower or bowling or something. Drinking alcohol was grounds for immediate expulsion. The first night I was there, I met up with this girl named Capucine, whose parents were friends with my stepmom. She was a few years older than me and had agreed to take me around the city. She lived just outside Paris in St. Cloud. We went to a bar that night and got very drunk, or at least I did. We walked all over Montmartre, up the steps to the great church, the Sacré-Cœur. Looking down on the city with this girl and her friends, I felt so old, so mature, so cool. I was way into all those French New Wave movies like Breathless, Bob Les Flambeaux, The 400 Blows, and Elevator to the Gallows. Walking around the city, a Guiton cigarette hanging perpetually from my mouth, I was Jean-Paul Belmondo, or Alain Delon, or one of those untouchable, unfeeling stars. I never went back to the hotel that night. I stayed with Capucine. It wasn't long before I was drinking in the morning. We went to visit her family in the south of France, drank rosé from vineyards in Saint-Tropez. I'd wake up and pour a glass of wine, or sometimes vodka, and drink that along with my coffee. I had my dad's credit card, and I bought all new clothes for myself at Chevignon and Agnès-Bay. I decided never to return to the United States. Again, fix the outsides, and maybe my insides won't be such a dark place. 4 months later, the credit cards were all canceled, and I was finally convinced to come home and finish high school. Sitting in class back in the Bay Area, watching pep rallies and things, it was a little, strange. Here I'd been drinking ouzo and riding motorcycles around Montpellier. Then suddenly I was dealing with curfews and the swim team. I wanted so desperately not to be a child anymore. I always thought once I was an adult, independent, whatever, these feelings of hopelessness and despair would go away. I could be like those characters in the movies. Drugs and alcohol gave me that feeling. Getting high, I was walking on the beach with Capucine again, promising her a future and thinking that I meant it. It strikes me how, being here with Lauren, it is more or less the same thing. Here I am, so old and yet so young, stuck, suspended somewhere in between adulthood and a child's fantasy. But I keep all this to myself, shooting more and more heroin and crystal methamphetamine. I leave Lauren to meet Gak a few times. I park my car at the Safeway at Church and Market. We just stand along the street and say stupid shit like, "Crystal, Crystal?" or "You want to stay up all night?" The people who pass either just ignore us or express interest, and we follow them around the corner and sell them a sack. It is that easy. No one ever complains about how small what we sell them is. We definitely aren't making a ton of money, but it's enough to at least use for free. Gak keeps trying to get me to buy walkie-talkies, but I don't really see the point. I guess he just thinks it'd be cool. So I split the profits with Gak and take whatever money I can home to Lauren. The heroin's really working for her. She has this tendency to get all freaked out doing too much meth. We'll be making love or something, and all of a sudden she'll shush me, convinced there's someone in the house, upstairs. Granted, most of the time it does sound like there's someone up there. There'll be this banging around or the noise of footsteps or a door being shut. None of it ever turns out to be real. I keep saying something like, "Baby, look, I know it sounds like there's someone upstairs. It always sounds like there's someone upstairs, but we might as well just assume that there's no one up there because otherwise it's going to drive us crazy. So what if there's someone up there? What are we going to do about it anyway? Let's just keep telling ourselves it's all in our minds, because it is, you know?" I'm pretty good about convincing myself that way, but she is more invested in her paranoia. The heroin calms her down nicely. So when we run out, she's all over me about calling Candy. It's around 8:30 and dark outside. Candy can't meet us for another couple hours, so I suggest we take a walk down by Fort Point. The gate is locked, so we park Lauren's car up on the cliffs and walk down the worn, wooden, creaking steps. We actually hold hands. Listening to Lauren, I've been able to piece together most of her story since leaving high school. Basically, it's pretty similar to mine. She never quite reached the depth of depravity that I did, but she's still got time. At least, that's how I figure it. She went into her first rehab right out of high school, a dual diagnosis treatment center, one that dealt with both drug addiction and bulimia. Since then, she's had a couple jobs temping in law firms around the city, but mostly she's just been in and out of different facilities and programs. Nothing ever took, obviously. Fort Point stretches out to the pillars of the Golden Gate Bridge. The surf comes pounding in hard and fast against the rock jetty. Wind blows in from the mouth of the bay, and the ocean is churning and spraying us as we walk. The lights from Marin reflect back across the channel, and the abandoned military barracks, boarded up and covered in layers of graffiti, bend and shift under the weight of the salt air. I hold Lauren's hand, and we talk about how beautiful everything is, and how there really is no city like San Francisco after all. At one point, an official-looking truck comes our way, headlights blinding us as we look back. Lauren panics some. "Should we run?" she asks. "Definitely not." The truck passes by without bothering us. My heart is maybe going a little bit. "This is freaking me out," she whines. "Maybe we should go back. It'll be fine." "You don't worry at all, do you?" I laugh. "If you only knew." She asks about my plans for the future. "I don't know. I mean, what else is there to do? People might say I'm wasting my life, but it's all relative. If I was a lawyer, I'd go to fucking law school, but I'm not. I'm a drug addict, and so what do? Use, right? Use until the wheels fall off. We'll get by, Lauren." I pull her in toward me and kiss her. "What more is there to life than this?" I ask. "Walking free through a city that we love, listening to the ocean, kissing each other, getting high. We're so alive, you and I." She laughs now. "And when my parents get home, what then? We've got nowhere to go." "I'll get a place. For us together, sure. So, are we boyfriend-girlfriend then?" "If you want to be." "Come on, Nick." "Yeah, of course we are." We kiss each other some more. Getting into the car, Lauren realizes she forgot her scarf. It must have fallen off somewhere. I tell her to stay, and I go running back the way we came. Tears well up in my eyes from the cold, and I feel maybe like I'm flying. So grateful. Everything is working out perfectly. I even find her scarf at the very end of the point. I run back, and she's happy, and we drive off to meet Candy, and we listen to this old Tosca CD, smoking one cigarette after the other. Candy has stitches all along her left cheekbone that weren't there before. It looks all swollen and glossy. She pushes her hair back behind her ears and asks me, "So what's the deal? How come it took you so long to call?" "Well, I'm more of a tweakhead, you know. I just use this shit to level out the meth." "It's good though, huh?" I nod, looking at her. "Maybe you want to come hang out sometime?" I say. She turns her pinned gray eyes on me. She's still wearing too much makeup, but the scar makes her markedly prettier. I'm kind of sick like that. "Sure," she says, "but not tonight. I could take you out somewhere. Look, you're just a kid. In some ways." She passes over the dope, and I give her some money. She lights a Parliament menthol. "We'll see. Call me sooner next time, okay?" "Sure." I drive Lauren's car back to her house. Candy's look stays with me. I feel it wrapped serpentine around my spine. She reminds me of someone, the smell of her. And then I remember. When that movie star's wife my dad had the affair with broke up with him, we moved to an apartment in the Mission. My mom had been forced to move to LA for work with an old boyfriend, and I saw her only on holidays, like Christmas. My dad always treated me more like a friend than a son, really. I mean, especially back then. He took me everywhere with him, out to dinner, to parties. My godparents, a gay couple, lived across the street. We'd go over there for dinner, and we'd all talk about politics and movies and things. They made me feel included, grown up. But of course, then my dad started dating. He was single and young, and it made sense that he'd go out and leave me with babysitters. I'm not sure where he met Audrey, at some gallery opening or something. But she was tattooed all over with long, long blonde hair. She was maybe 21 or 2 and smelled like incense all the time. She only babysat me like 3 times, but I'll never forget that smell of her. She looked so beautiful and ravaged at the same time. She would crawl into bed with me as I was falling asleep and hold me, and I'd smell her and be so turned on. I'd try to hide my small erection. One night, she rented The Last Temptation of Christ, and we watched that together. I was 8 years old. But driving away from Candy, I think of Audrey and lying in bed with her. Candy has that smell, that same look. Something is tearing apart the lattice structure of my veins. I get home and go straight to Lauren's room. I fuck her hard, and it goes on and on. We soak through her sheets and mattress and carpeted floor. When it's over, I cook up a bunch of heroin and go to pick out a bottle of white wine from the refrigerator. I take it up to the kitchen and pour a large glass for myself. I'm naked and standing at the full-length window, looking out on the street below, feeling powerful. I eat an apple and bring one down for Lauren. The room is very quiet, and I call out to her, but there's no answer. When I worked at the rehab in Malibu, they made me take a CPR class at the Red Cross. I thought it was bullshit at the time, some thick-necked EMT talking too fast and asking stupid rhetorical questions. The class was maybe 3 hours long, and I guess I paid attention. I got the damn certificate. Seeing Lauren on the floor turning blue, my reaction is strange. I don't panic or anything. A calm sweeps through me. I remember the EMT. What did he say to do first? You shake them and shout, "Are you okay?" I do that. Check for a heartbeat. She's got one. Check for breathing. No on that. All right, then open the air passage, tilt the head back, and start chest compressions. I put my mouth to her cold, small lips. Breathe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I feel her ribs and breastbone plate crack some under my weight as I push down. Her belly fills as I blow the air in. Her chest heaves. I reach over and grab the phone, dialing 911. Breathe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 911 emergency, how can I help you? Yeah, my girlfriend just OD'd on heroin. We need an ambulance now. Breathe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do you know CPR? I'm doing it. Where are you located? I don't know the address. Seacliff. Trace the call, will you? Breathe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now the panic sets in. Fuck, man. She can't die. Her skin is so transparent, and the veins are blue, rising beneath the surface. An ambulance is on its way, sir. I hang up. Breathe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Check the heart. Still going. God, I say aloud. I don't believe in you, but now would be a good time to give us a goddamn miracle. Breathe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then, just like that, she gasps, and jerks awake. She blinks twice and bursts into tears. I do the same thing, holding her. When I hear the sirens outside, I go out and tell the firemen and whoever that she's all right, but they come in anyway. They seem kinda pissed about the whole thing. Regulations say that they gotta take her to the ER, but Lauren refuses. She's naked, and we can't get her to put clothes on. She cries and cries, sounding like a sick cat or something. One of the bigger guys threatens to call the cops on us, and that gets Lauren moving. She's still way out of it and nodding all over the place. She clings onto me, and I basically have to carry her up to the ambulance. She kisses me, but at that point I'm just trying to get her out of there. They tell me to meet her at the UCSF hospital. I hate fucking emergency rooms, but I agree anyway. The only time I ever ended up in the ER was for a drug overdose, actually. I was living in New York, turning tricks. I'd been up for a couple days, doing coke and crystal and drinking so much. I mean so fucking much. This very muscular guy, whose name I think was Brian, had picked me up at this cheesy gay bar where they give you free drinks if you take your shirt off. They were his drugs. I had no money. I ended up back at my apartment, in the middle of this orgy of guys. Vaguely, I remember someone eating out my ass while my dick refused to get hard. Then I just gave up and let whoever wanted to fuck me. At some point, I noticed a vial of GHB on the bedside table. I drank about 3/4 of it down, figuring that would do the trick. I started to black out, and I had this total sense of relief. Finally, I thought, it's over. And then I just fell out. Of course, I woke up at a nearby hospital, a tube down my throat, needles in my arms, a catheter in my dick, my ribs broken from the CPR. But the really fucking sick thing was my first thought when I came to. See, when I'd gone to the bathroom at my apartment, I'd managed to get alone with the bag of crystal and had hidden some in a bottle of Ambien I'd been prescribed. I knew it was still there. I made some grunting noises for them to get the tube out, which they did, me gagging and retching all over the place. Then the nurse left and I started ripping all the needles out of my arms. The catheter in my dick was this plastic tubing connected to a bag I could piss into. I started to pull the thing out of the hole in the head of my cock and it burned. Jesus, it fucking burned. But it wouldn't come out. Still, I just kept pulling until the pain got so bad that I begged the nurses to get the goddamn thing out of me, which they finally did. Then I got up, hospital gown and all, and started to walk out the front door. The security guard stopped me, physically dragging me back in. I kept trying to sneak out until they let me sign an AMA discharge form because I'd been such a pain in the ass. I ended up in my third rehab about a week later. I think back to my night in the ER, and I go downstairs and shoot a bunch of heroin before driving up to UCSF. They've already admitted Lauren by the time I get there, so they let me on in. She's sitting on a white cot in the middle of the cramped central areas. Doctors and nurses pass bits of paper back and forth, make jokes, enter information into computers. There don't seem to be any other patients around, but everyone seems rushed and frantic. A doctor with a mullet tied back and a ponytail and soft, squishy features is trying to get something coherent out of Lauren. I think he's trying to figure out whether she was trying to commit suicide or not, but he never just comes straight out with it. I step in saying she had only done heroin 1 or 2 other times and didn't know about the dosing. He talks to me as though I were Lauren's concerned parent, the responsible one. He asks me all these questions. What's her home life like? Does she need help getting into treatment? I fight so hard not to nod out while he's talking. I'm not sure how well I'm doing. I ask him if she can leave, and he says no. She has to be evaluated by the psychiatrist. I go to a psychiatrist, says Lauren. Jules Bernabé. He works at San Francisco General. The doctor ignores her. Can't we leave AMA? I ask. What? The doctor asks. I was in the hospital once, and I just asked to sign this AMA form, and they let me go. They had to. Come on, doctor, I'll take care of her. No, I'm afraid not. Can you stop us? Yes, we can involve the authorities if you wish. Lauren hands me her purse, and I kiss her and tell her we'll figure this out. She keeps pleading to get her psychiatrist on the phone, so they agree to page him. I'm not sure what I'm feeling, but I go out into the thick, wet air and light a cigarette and pace. Maybe everybody is staring at me. I pull out Lauren's cell phone. It's 2:30. For some reason, I call Zelda. Maybe hers is the only number I remember. Zelda is singularly beautiful. The first time I saw her was at some meeting in Hollywood. She identified herself as a newcomer, wearing big, round sunglasses, her red hair hanging down to the small of her back. I couldn't stop looking at her the whole meeting. High cheekbones, a long, angular nose, chapped, parted lips. Her body was so tiny, jagged shoulders sticking out like angel's wings. She looks like an Egon Schiele painting. I actually asked for her number that first day. I never do that. She gave it to me, but she was in this treatment program where she couldn't get calls for 3 months. I forgot all about her until I came back to my old sober living one night. I'd just turned 21 and was celebrating my birthday at the halfway house. She checked in about a week earlier. We started talking, and I felt so close to her immediately. It was like talking to myself. Of course, I later found out how much older she was than me, and eventually that she had a boyfriend. Plus, she'd lived so much more than I had. She'd been married to that actor for 7 years. All her boyfriends were famous in some way, and her family was equally well known. She was humble about all this, but I was intimidated and never thought she could ever want me like I was increasingly wanting her. But we started spending more and more time together. I told her things I'd never told anyone. One night, we went to the Chateau Marmont on Sunset. We drank black tea and she smoked cigarettes while a little girl, maybe 6 or 7, played this haunting, real minimalist piano music. I mean, she was just some kid messing around, but it was fucking great. Someone even tipped her $20 or something. I'm not sure what we talked about or why that night was any different from any other. She drove me home, and we made out in her car, and she cried the whole time. I fell ever more in love with her from that day forward. We kept trying to break it off, but would eventually end up seeing each other again. How can I ever explain what it was about Zelda? Sure, she was amazing to look at, but there was something more. There was a sadness there, mixed with wisdom, and a pained humor. Whatever it was, I felt like I could see right down to the moths struggling on their backs in the base of her silver, shimmering soul. I also felt like we were meant to be together. She, this ageless beauty, and I, this old man and tiny child. When we kissed and made love, it was like nothing I'd ever known before, and that was sober. But she wouldn't leave Mike for me. I'm not sure why. Maybe she didn't feel safe with me. Maybe I was really too young. It tore me up. I mean, really. So I call Zelda from Lauren's cell phone. She doesn't answer. I leave a rambling message. Even just hearing her voice on the machine brings back so much. It actually makes me kind of angry, and I hang up and paste some more. Eventually, I go back into the waiting room and try to sleep on 2 orange plastic chairs. No good. My legs keep twitching all over the place. The other thing is I really have to take a piss, but the heroin has made all my muscles too relaxed or something, because I can't figure out how to make that happen. There's a group of dark-skinned Hispanic women talking loudly now in the waiting area, their voices echoing off the linoleum. I decide to walk around the hospital some, since the woman at the front desk tells me the psychiatrist hasn't even arrived for Lauren yet. I ride the elevator for a while, wondering if there are cameras in there. Maybe I could stop it and shoot up right there. But no, I'm too sketched out and I figure there are probably cameras. So I just go up and down. Even the elevator smells like a goddamn hospital. Kelly, the mother of a friend of mine, is a nurse at a hospital in Oakland. In order to graduate from high school, I had to do all this community service. Kelly agreed to take me with her for a couple days around the hospital. One of the things I remember most was this guy with a horribly fat stomach. He was very thin, but his stomach was huge. I sat with him while we waited for Kelly. He asked me questions about school and things. He was very sweet and polite and positive. Kelly came in and asked him to remove his shirt, so he did. What he had was a colostomy. His intestine had been rerouted out his stomach. Thing was, he had developed a lot of fluid swelling at the base of the wound. I excused myself to get some water, then nearly fainted in the hall. Kelly later told me he'd be dead in a few months. The other thing I remember was this schizophrenic drug addict who'd tried to kill himself by jumping off a building. He broke his neck, but he didn't die. He was a quadriplegic. We're just going to look at this small wound on his bottom, Kelly said. She pulled back the sheet, and the guy literally had no left butt cheek. It had been rotted away by some flesh-eating disease. The place quickly filled with the smell of decaying flesh and shit. This time, I passed out cold in the outside hall. The next day, she had me follow a urologist around, putting catheters in old guys' dicks. I get out of the elevator and go check on Lauren. They tell me she's sleeping and that they're giving her an IV of fluid to rehydrate her. I call Gak from Lauren's phone. His dad answers. Hey Mike, it's Nick. You guys up? Always. You want to talk to little Gak? Sure. Fucking Lauren O'Deed. I'm at the UCSF ER. Is she alright? Yeah, I had to do CPR and shit, but she's alive. Are you alright? Yeah, I guess so. Thanks, Mike. He goes to get Gak. I'm struck by how sweet these fucking people are. I tell Gak about the whole scene and ask if he can get me any herb. Dude, I got a little bit. It'll take me an hour to take the bus up there. I ain't going anywhere. Word. We meet out front about 2 hours later. We shoot up some speed in Lauren's car, then smoke a joint. I feel stupidly high. So you saved her life? Gak says. That's fucking intense. I swear the fool never changes his clothes. He's wearing the same bandana around his head, Karate Kid style. Yeah, I say. I was so weirdly calm about the whole thing. That's gonna be pretty heavy for her when she realizes what you did. Yeah, well, if it wasn't for me, she wouldn't have OD'd in the first place. Nah, she was just looking for an excuse to start using again, right? It would have happened eventually. You know, my girlfriend lives right around here. Your girlfriend? Yeah, dude. Erin. Fuck, we gotta all go out sometime. She's only 17. So? He tells me about how he met her, trying to sell her a sack, actually. She lives with her mom, still goes to high school and all. Gak talks a lot, and we walk around some. The UCSF hospital rests up in the dense forest and eucalyptus trees of the hills looking down on Golden Gate Park. The fog always wraps the place in a still wetness that is both eerie and idyllic. I love this city, I say. Yeah. Lauren's phone rings 20 minutes later, and I answer. It's Lauren calling from the hospital. Nick, where are you? Outside, can we go? Yeah, you gotta come fill out some paperwork. Me? Yeah, why? What's wrong? Nothing. I'll be right there. I say bye to Gak and agree to meet him later. He says he's gonna go walk Erin to school. It's 5 a.m. I walk into the hospital. I'm way too loaded for this shit. Inside, they make me promise to watch Lauren closely and make sure she gets some rest. I agree. Again, the responsible one. Then I sign some papers and take her home. I get whatever heroin's left out of the cotton and shoot us both up with it. We fuck as the sun rises, and she says almost nothing the whole time. I notice how thin she's getting. Her bones cut into me. We pass out sometime around 10.